Hello.
Hello and welcome. You're switched on to Switch, and being with Ankit Vengurlekar means that I'm constantly surprised by what's happening on this show.
Just clearing out the vision so everybody has perfect 2020 vision for this edition of Switch with your resident geek Ankit Vengurlekar and our resident beauty Naomi Datta, and this show is the attack of the droids.
It is, because we are very grateful to Samsung because they made sure to launch their Samsung Galaxy S4 just in time for our second episode. That's extremely considerate of them.
How amazing is that?
Yeah, but some brownie points for them from me. I know you're tough to please, but some brownie points for that. Okay, good, you made it in time for our launch. And they launched it in New York. They went to iPhone territory. They took the battle to their main competitor.
We'll get to all that and more, but before that, let's see what else is coming up on this Attack of the Droids special. We get you up close and personal with Samsung's latest flagship device, the Galaxy S4.
The Sony Xperia Z is something we are reviewing on the show today. So the S4 has launched globally, but it'll only start retailing sometime in April, right?
Sometime in April, that's right. And we'll obviously dive into the technical specifications and then speculate a little about pricing, because that is one thing that they haven't spoken about. All they've said is it will get a Samsung premium smartphone price.
Tons of predictions, rumors and a few leaked images later, Samsung finally unveiled its flagship mobile device, the Samsung Galaxy S4, on Friday morning at Times Square. Samsung's The Next Galaxy event had everything, from tap dancing to Broadway musical to terrible jokes. Here's a quick look at the tech specifications of the Samsung Galaxy S4. The Galaxy S4 is thinner and lighter compared to the Galaxy S3. It's also slightly bigger with a 5-inch screen. The phone's available in two variants, a quad-core processor and an octacore processor. Both run on Android's latest Jelly Bean OS. The phone has 2 GB of RAM and is available in 16 GB, 32 GB and 64 GB internal memory variants. The storage can further be expanded up to 64 GB with a micro SD card. The most striking feature of the Galaxy S4 is its 5-inch Full HD Super AMOLED screen. The phone comes with a 13-megapixel rear camera and a 2-megapixel front-facing camera. Along with this, Samsung's S4 also offers other noteworthy features like Air View and Air Gesture that let you operate your phone without actually touching the screen. The Galaxy S4 is powered by a 2600 mAh battery that should technically give you battery life worth a day's usage. You can buy the Samsung Galaxy S4 in two colors, White Frost and Black Mist, starting April at an approximate price of £500.
So you use a Nokia Lumia.
Yes.
Okay, that's your smartphone of choice.
Yes.
I've been using a Samsung Galaxy R for the last year and a half. So I'll confess, I am a Samsung Android phone fan.
I know you're a complete Android enthusiast.
I'm an evangelist of sorts with Android, okay? We'll get to that later, but what do you think of the Galaxy S4?
Well, you know, Ankit, what I feel is that iPhone, Apple and Samsung have got into this little, battle to the finish.
This duopoly.
You know, this complete battle to the finish, and they have great phones going for them anyway. But what they keep doing is, because they need to launch newer models, they keep giving you incremental features which are not terribly dramatic.
And which you don't really need.
Which you don't really need. So they'll give you lots of new features and, it's fine.
I mean, how incredible not is a feature called Air Gesture, where you can keep your finger a centimeter away from the screen.
And be.
Seriously? Like, what are you thinking, Samsung?
So I just feel there's because of this battle to the finish, as I like to call it, there's too much of gimmick value which has come to this.
You nailed it. We spoke to our technology colleagues from Forbes India Online, from Tech2.com, and of course our very own Switch team. Let's see what they have to say about the Galaxy S4.
I think in terms of innovation, Samsung's clearly playing the hardware and specs game.
And octacore processor, I get it that it's cutting edge, but do you have apps that can run that?
A lot of features that they've announced seem to be more gimmicky, than utilitarian, to be honest.
Last year, when Apple launched the iPhone 5, it was such a bummer, and that's exactly what Samsung's done this time with Galaxy S4.
Samsung clearly setting up their own ecosystem in contrast. A nice phone, but we'll have to see how Apple comes back with features from iOS 7 and the presumed iPhone 5S.
The S4 is a very worthy successor to the Galaxy S3.
It's a good but not a great phone, to be honest.
I don't think I'm going to buy the Samsung Galaxy S4.
Back to you guys in Mumbai.
So my take on the Galaxy S4 is that it's a great phone, but it does not pack in anything that makes me go wow. Okay, and a small hat tip, Samsung, next time you're having an event of this size, this shape, this stature, please get in touch with me. At CNBC TV 18, we do some really mind-blowing ground events. And what you did at Radio City Hall with the whole Broadway gig going.
So, you know, Ankit is a very, very tough person to please.
But what was that?
Last week he wanted to move the Mobile World Congress to Pragati Maidan. Now he's not happy with the Samsung launch in New York. He's very tough to please. Show. Okay, we are going to get into a break right now. But after that, we're going into something really interesting because this is an episode dedicated to Android. We're going into the evolution of Android. Welcome back. You're switched on to Switch with me, Naomi Datta, and my co-host Ankit.
That sounds really sexy, Naomi. You're switched on to Switch.
Oh God. I don't know what to say, so I'm going to quickly move on to our next story. Ankit is actually very excited about this. We have a new Pope, but what he's really excited about is the developments at Android.
Absolutely. Ankit, you know, the timing was incredible. I was on Twitter and past midnight, everybody was tweeting about, you know, white smoke coming out of the Vatican and we have a new Pope. And right then and there comes a tweet from Larry Page where he announces that Android gets a new Pope, gets a new head, which is Sundar Pichai. And so we have a new geek Pope in a way. Andy Rubin, the man who made Android, the man who saw 750 million Android activations, has stepped down, and a boy from Chennai who used to head Chrome and Google Apps is now the head of the world's most incredible mobile operating system, Android. How amazing is that?
Like you can see, Ankit is a complete Android fanboy. We're just going to get you into the evolution of Android.
2008. World's first Android smartphone, HTC T-Mobile G1 launches with Gmail integration and Android market. 2009. Here comes the first updated OS, Angel Cake. Then came Battenberg and Cupcake. Cupcake came with a gamut of features like on-screen keyboard, extensible widgets, video capture and playback. Next in line was Donut with CDMA support, quick search box and a brand new camera interface. Eclairs 2.0 and 2.1 came with digital zoom, Bluetooth support, USB and Wi-Fi tethering. 2010. With Froyo, now you could play videos on the web on your Android smartphone. This was soon followed by Gingerbread with internet telephony, video chat and NFC support. 2011. Android Honeycomb arrives custom made for tablets. Then came Ice Cream Sandwich, a unified experience for smartphones and tablets. 2012. Jelly Bean introduces widget flexibility and predictive text input. It's remarkable in such a short period of time what Android has achieved. But what's interesting with the latest version of Android is a paradigm shift in their thinking. Okay. Google was never conscious of how their products actually looked.
The aesthetics, the beauty part of it.
Never. I mean, look at Google Reader, you know, which everybody is crying about on Twitter. Oh my God, it's dying. And the earlier version of Gmail, it used to be very skeletal, very utilitarian, but never a design which made you go, wow.
So you're seeing a shift from utility driven to some aesthetics finally coming into their design.
Seriously, Larry Page, ever since he's taken, you know, stock of affairs at Google, he's like, dude, let's sex this up, okay, completely. So look at the new Project Butter Jelly Bean. Look at Google now. Oh my God.
This is what we're going to talk about.
I mean, it makes you salivate. You're like, is this seriously a Google product? How can it be?
Okay, Ankit's getting a little too excited. So let's just quickly take you into the section on Google now. We'll come back while I sort of curb his enthusiasm.
No, I'll infect you also with it. Have you seen how amazing it is?
Google's personal assistant, Google Now, is one of the coolest things to happen to Android. If your phone runs on Android 4.1 or higher, you'll be the lucky one to have the Google Now experience before everyone else. Here's what it looks like. Google Now has a bunch of cards that display all the necessary information and reminders you need. These cards appear throughout the day at the moment you need them. So how does Google Now work again? Call it your friend, your personal assistant, or your companion. Google Now essentially ensures that you live your now. From indicating the weather outside to reminding you about your 5 o'clock bus, Google Now ensures you don't miss out on things that matter. Although a lot of features are still not active and accurate in India, Google Now won't fail to impress you. It tells you the bus numbers, bus stops, traffic details, and even the time it'll take you to get home. Google Now also accurately tells you the temperature outside, reminds you about your next appointment, checks your email, and even helps you calculate currency conversions. The best part about Google Now is that it brings you answers before you even go looking for them. Google Now gets you all the information you need automatically. And if rumors are to be believed, Google Now is looking to venture outside of Android. Google's personal assistant may soon give some serious competition to Apple's Siri as it plans to make its way to iOS. Also doing the rounds is that Google Now may soon be available on Windows 8 and Chromebooks too. Needless to say, we can't wait for Google Now to manage and make life simpler in the times to come.
Okay, so the great thing about Google Now really for me is the voice recognition. I have a Windows phone, I have voice recognition on it. It does not work, Ankit, it doesn't work, and sometimes just for the fun of it, I take my phone and to confuse it, I speak in a multiplicity of accents. Yes, I have a lot of time and I need to develop better hobbies, but it just doesn't get it. But Google Now cracks that.
Google does crack it because a big reason for that is their R&D center in Bangalore, where they have optimized the speech recognition engine for a multitude of Indian dialects. Okay? Apple has not done that with Siri. And I think going forward, especially with the impending launch of Google Glasses, you know, by the end of this year, it's amazing what it's going to bring to the market.
Okay, we're going to go in for a little break, but
a phone which really amplifies everything that Android has in store, the Xperia Z.
Welcome back. You're switched on to Switch and you're not going to say anything about being switched on and all of that, please, Ankit. So anyway, you're switched on to Switch and we're going to be talking about what could be the best offering in Android phones for some time to come, and it's come from Sony. It's the Sony Xperia Z. This is something that Ankit was completely bowled over by at the otherwise lackluster Mobile World Congress. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take you into a little bit of the backstory of Sony. You know, they bought out Ericsson last year. So and after that, you know, they've come up with the Sony Xperia Z, which is really a design of their own without Ericsson there. So let's just go into the backstory, find out a little bit more about the evolution of this very exciting company.
2001, a joint venture between Sony and Ericsson, aptly named Sony Ericsson, kick-off operations. The T68i becomes their first product. 2005, music moves into phones as Sony Ericsson launches the first ever Walkman phone, the W800. 2006, a new standard for mobile imaging is set as Sony Ericsson phones are enhanced with Sony's CyberShot technology. 2008, Sony Ericsson launches world's first ever 8-megapixel camera phone. 2010, Xperia X10 becomes the first Sony Ericsson phone to be powered by Android. 2011, gaming meets smartphone in Xperia Play, the world's first PlayStation certified Android smartphone. 2012, Sony acquires Ericsson's share of Sony Ericsson. Xperia S becomes the first all-Sony smartphone. Soon came the Xperia Tablet S. And 2013, the brand new Xperia Z is unveiled.
Just when we thought that Sony's comeback was yet another rumor, the Xperia line of smartphones made a big splash at the CES with their flagship Z. Design-wise, the Z is Sony's most radical phone ever. Laced with tempered glass front and back, the only hint of premium metal is in the high-precision aluminium power button. The Xperia Z stands 5 inches tall with Sony's first ever high-definition display and runs the Jelly Bean version of our favorite mobile OS, Android. Sony has also set a new hardware benchmark for Android superphones with the Xperia Z. A 1.5 GHz Snapdragon quad-core processor, 2 GB of RAM, this is a hulk at performance. Z's primary camera has a solid 13-megapixel XMOS sensor complemented by a 2-megapixel front-facing camera. Apart from shooting pictures at that bleeding resolution, it also shoots full high-definition videos. The Z packs in 16 GB of internal flash memory that can be augmented with micro SD card storage of up to 64 GB. Apart from the usual connectivity options of 3G, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth and NFC, it's 4G ready too. Unfortunately, we aren't.
You know, I want to ask you, how many Sony products have you used when you were growing up?
Well, Ankit, like everyone else of my age, I'm not going to tell you more.
So much, about 16 or something.
Yeah, that's true, sweet 16. I've had a Sony Walkman.
Did you have that UFO like Sony music system pumping out like
yeah,
5 gazillion
everybody had the
watts?
UFO kind of music system. But see, when we were at that stage, when we were growing up, Sony,
80s, 90s.
Yeah, Sony for us was the byword, you know, it was
the gold standard.
It was Japan which was defining what technology is. It's only now that it's moved to South Korea and Taiwan and all of that. But I think with this phone, they have come back into the reckoning.
They have, and in fact, you know, it's a critical phone for Sony because the last 8 quarters, Sony has been posting record losses. Yeah. Okay, so hopefully this phone, you know, more than the bottom line, it's an emotional or a psychological push for the company. And in terms of features, there are 2 features which blows away the competition. Let's check them out in a little bit more depth. Sony has packed in some really uber cool camera features in the Xperia Z. The 13-megapixel snapper produces crisp daylight pictures, excellent HD videos and immersive panoramas. But the one feature that blew us away is the burst mode. A feature that you generally find on really high-end professional DSLR cameras has finally been brought to a mobile phone. With its burst mode, the Xperia Z is capable of shooting, hold your breath, unlimited number of pictures at 10 frames per second. That's right, unlimited. Just make sure you don't lift your finger off that camera button. Burst mode is a brilliant feature to capture some really high-speed action-based scenarios. The other big differentiator in the Xperia Z is its water-resistant body. Adhering to IPv5 water resistance standards, this handset can be dunked in a meter of water for approximately 30 minutes and will still work just fine. Now, it's highly unlikely you might do that, but the water resistance will definitely ease your pain of zip-locking your expensive asset away during our scary monsoons. And of course, you can also take a shower while playing your favorite tunes on the Xperia Z.
So Ankit, at 35,000, 34,000, is this phone VFM? Is it value for money? What would you tell people on Switch? What should we tell people on Switch? Is this the phone that they need to go for?
Definitely switch on. Gets 2 thumbs up, the Sony Xperia Z from the Switch review team. It's going to be a couple of months till the Galaxy S4 and HTC One hit the market. Yeah. Till then, I guess this is going to get a fantastic lead in the League of Superphones in India.
So on that note, it is...
Not Note, S4.
On that S4, the things my co-host makes me do. On that S4, it is time to wrap up things on Switch for this week. Unfortunately, as that terrible cliche goes, all good things must come to an end. But do follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @SwitchFeed. We're also on Facebook.
Facebook.com/SwitchFeed. You can catch this and any other videos of Switch on YouTube.com/CNBC-TV18. And of course, a small hat tip for all you BlackBerry Z10 users. WhatsApp is on BlackBerry App World. Woohoo! Congratulations, go download it right now.
Okay, till next week then, do remember to stay switched on.
Adios.